Ted from Runnable, and this is my quick review of the Neo Vista from Mizuno, their max cushion daily trainer. So I really like this shoe, spoiler alert, and I use this shoe a lot during my marathon training for Chicago and also for Berlin. I thought I'd run in it again. I haven't run in it since then, actually, since that training. I thought I'd run it again just to remember what it felt like to run in it, because I've been running in the Puma Mag Max, the Nova Blast 5, the Balos Super Blast, and I wanted just to remind myself what the Neo Vista was like and see how it compares to those shoes. I think soon I'll be doing kind of shoes of the year, and I want to do them justice, so remember what it felt like to run in these shoes. So I took this on quite a short run. I think it's about 7K. I'll put the link in my description, Strava link. And it was at a moderate pace for me, and it all came flooding back. What I love about this shoe, and you know, one or two minor things I don't like about this shoe. Well, one minor thing I think. So the shoe itself, some attributes that, you know, if you know nothing about this shoe, well, where have you been? Come on. But if you literally know nothing about this shoe, this is a UK size 9 and it weighs 275 grams. So not heavy, you know, comparable with the Balos, with the Nova Blast, with the Super Blast, in that range anyway. It's in the upper part of that range, but it's still in that range. Stack, it's got an 8mm drop, so it's got 44.5 in the heel, 36.5 in the forefoot, giving you, like I said, the 8mm drop. Doesn't feel like an 8mm drop to me. It feels a bit flatter than that, but we'll talk a little bit about the ride in a minute. In terms of upper, this is potentially my favourite upper of the year, actually. There's one or two that have come in recently, like the Nova Blast 5 that I really like, but this fits like a sock. And it looks a bit weird, right? And it's got this knitted material, which potentially, if you live in a hot country, or even in our hot summers, if there is such a thing in the UK, you might get a bit hot this shoe. So that's the only downside to this upper, as far as I'm concerned. Everything else is perfect. The lockdown, the fit around my foot, it expands to your foot shape. The heel count is flexible, but not too loose, so you get some structure there. The collar, there's no real collar here, but it's this stretchy knit material that grabs your ankle. So there's like no kind of ankle movement, excessive ankle movement with this shoe, because it comes up quite high. I found it very, very nice and plush, this upper, and it really fit my foot really well. And they thought about it a lot. They've got little things like this here, which this rubber bit, which you can cinch your laces on to keep it nice and tight. So all in all, you know, if I had to rate this upper out of 5, I'd give it a 5. Those in hot countries, you maybe mark it down a mark, because in the summer this might be an issue for you. You may mark it down a couple of marks. That's the only downside. So if Mizuno want to change anything about this upper going forward, they need to make it a bit more breathable. Apart from that, superb. Right, so the bit I don't like so much is the outsole. So you've got a lot of rubber coverage, apart from this huge chasm here. But what rubber they do is this soft rubber, and I'm starting to wear it away, the tread, which is fair enough. I've done over 100 miles in this. So I don't think there's huge durability issues, but you're not going to have a shoe like the Super Blast that will go on and on and on. You know, I see this being somewhere between 300 and 500 miles, depending on how much force you put down when you land on it. My issue with it is this soft rubber does not grip amazingly well. It's not as bad as the Nova Blast or Super Blast, but it still could be improved. You know, it's not as good as the Balos, for instance, and that's soft rubber. So they can improve this. What helps you, though, with the grip is, weirdly, this chasm, which you'd think would be a problem, right? And it could be a rock collector or mud collector. But this chasm, actually, when you land, it splits a bit and sucks the ground. So you get a bit of grip from actually the design of this shoe, which I think is pretty amazing actually. So I think they've actually thought about that. And because of this splaying, it takes some of the impact as well. As you can imagine, it lands, it splays, and it dissipates the energy and the force that you land with. So really good design, as is the geometry of the shoe. You've got a nice rocker that just glides you on. If you're a mid-foot strike and you land around here, you'll feel a little bump that glides you on. And if you land around here like I do, it's quite a nice rocker that rocks you forward. It's not extreme, but it's pretty good. Heel strikers, you've got a big heel to land on. I've heard this can be a bit mushy if you're a heel striker, so I'm not sure, to be honest, about that side of it. I'm not a heel striker. Tell me in the comments if you found this too mushy for you. It's just right for me. It's the right level of soft but supportive, cushioned, but with the right energy return for me. So for me, it's a great shoe. I wouldn't want to go mega fast in this. I can do strides in this, but I wouldn't use this for intervals, for instance. Probably wouldn't use it for racing, apart from maybe longer distance races where you want some cushioning and you want it to be soft. So potentially, as long as it's not on trails, I could use this in an ultra, for instance, yeah? So yes, so that's the ride, the midsole. And how does it ride? Well, it rides, like I said, quite soft, nice and rockered, good energy return, plush, feels very comfortable. Hardly notice it on my feet, protects my legs, they feel great the next day. Compared to the Mag Max, for me anyway, this is 100% better shoe. It hasn't got the Piba foam, it hasn't got the nitrogen infused foam, it's just got your supercritical EVA, which is even more amazing, and how this shoe is actually as good as it is. And I think sometimes we get too obsessed with foams and forget about the design of the shoes, just important. The geometry, things like this cutout, which helps display and suck and allows you to have that nice impact protection. Things like that, the nice kind of knit upper that grabs your foot. These are all things that make this a good shoe, not necessarily because it's got the best foam, right? It's an all-round package. And so I see this as being right up there with the Nova Blast 5, and that's going to be a real good competition between those two shoes as my favorite daily trainer 2024. But could there be others? Yes, there are others. We should talk about them as well. Price point, I think it's £159, but you could probably get it cheaper some places. They did the new black colorway, which I think looks nicer than this one. I think that looks really nice. So that was my other downside with this shoe, what it looks like, but I do like the black colorway, so I think it's vastly improved it. So all in all, I think an absolute banger of a shoe. Love it to bits. I will do many more miles in this. I'm gonna run it to the death, basically. You're gonna die. You're gonna die, Neo Vista. You're gonna die, right? Because I'm gonna run you ragged. Get the most out of this shoe, and then I'll probably buy another pair, if I'm being honest, or the next version. So that is my quick fire review of the Mizuno Neo Vista. Hope you found that interesting. We'll do a proper comparison of all what I class as the daily trainers. You could class this as a max cushion shoe, super shoe, but it hasn't got the super foam, so I'm going to class it in the daily trainer category, and it will come up against the likes of the Balos, the Puma Mag Max, which is a max cushion shoe as well, Super Blast, Nova Blast 5, all those kind of shoes. I hope you found that interesting. Sorry, I had a brain fart for a minute. Hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. Yeah, a bit of a grim morning this morning, to say the least. I would give Mordor a run for its money, for those that are Lord of the Rings fans. But anyway, that's irrelevant, because us runners, we run through anything, don't we? We don't care about the weather. In fact, the worse the weather, the better it is, because it shows how hard we are, how tough we are. how devoted to our pursuit we are. But before I start talking more shit, I'm just going to do not a long run this morning, because I'm planning at lunchtime to test those Chinese super shoes out in a kind of loop of this park, like I've done with the Edge, the Paris, the Rebellion Pro Beta, Alpha Fly, you name it. We'll compare how they get on with those shoes ahead of maybe using them in a park run. Could be my last of the year park run, might be, unless I can sort of kind of get out on Christmas Day somehow, like pretend I'm going out to get some firewood, and then in my running gear, and then come back an hour later without any firewood in my running gear. That's a possibility on Christmas Day, but don't tell anyone, right? But for now, I'm going to do a few loops of this park, gentle pace, in one of my favourite shoes that I haven't worn for ages. I took this up to 100 miles. It's gone beyond that now. It's a belter of a shoe, to be honest. It may not look the best, but it's absolute superb. And it is the Mizuno Neo Vista. So if you can get this shoe on sale somewhere, or even if you can't, I think it was 159, 49, something like that. It's an absolute belter, and it's comparable actually to Nova Blast 5, and that's why I'm wearing it today, because at some point we're going to do a head-to-head with those shoes, and with the Balos maybe included. But anyway, that's enough for me now. I've got to get running because I've got a lot of work to do today, other kind of work, if you know what I mean. So I'll see you later. Bye bye. So in my Neo Vistas, as you know, if you listen to the intro, and it's a shoe that I was using loads. I mean, it's my go-to shoe at one point, along with the Cielo. You're right, and it was that's a friend of mine, by the way, who's cheering if you heard that. And it's a really nice shoe that ticks a lot of boxes for me in terms of daily trainer. It's well cushioned, which is what I like. It's got a kind of light, airy feel to it, which is what I like. I love the upper. The upper's great. Don't even notice it, to be honest. And I like the feel of it underfoot. I like the foam, and the foam is good. It's not the best part of the shoe though, but it is a good foam. And Neo Vista have designed everything well in this shoe, because they've got like a nylon plate with decent supercritical EVA foam, so it's not PBA, it's not PBAX, it's not aliphatic TPU, hope I pronounced all that right. It's a good old supercritical EVA, so nothing particularly out of the ordinary with the foam. They've got a nylon plate in here, I think mainly for stability reasons. I don't ever feel like I'm engaging the plate. But what Mizuno have done, they've really worked hard at looking at things like the geometry of the shoe, also the design of the shoe in terms of the outsole with the huge cutout underneath. That's not by accident, and it's not just about saving weight. It's also, there are two benefits of that cutout. One, it makes the impact when you land softer, and two, it weirdly acts as a kind of suction area, so that when you land you get a little bit of extra grip. Now, it's probably, talking about grip, that's probably one of the weaker points of the shoe, which is kind of strange because
Mizuno's grips on all their race shoes are amazing, but they decided to go with soft rubber for this shoe, and I understand why. You know, because it's meant to be a daily trainer, one of these daily super trainers, and it's meant to be something that's going to feel nice and soft and comfortable, but also allow you to do those daily miles in comfort, and go a long way in this shoe. So I understand why they haven't gone for a harsh outsole rubber, and they've left that for their race shoes. But you know, it is perplexing that they couldn't have got something with slightly better grip. And this brings me back to the Nova Blast 5 again. Exactly the same. Just because it's soft rubber doesn't mean it can't be grippier. I think the Neo Vista though gets away with it because of the, like I said, this cutout, underneath the foot, which gives you that, it splays the foam underneath and gives you that little bit of suction that actually grips the ground. So I don't ever feel as like a slippery, slidey in this shoe than I do in the Nova Blast. Even though I think that probably the rubber is comparable underfoot. The design of this shoe is what makes it work. To be honest, if they did a design award, or maybe they do for running shoes, this should be right up there, because what they've done is produce a shoe with an upper that is super comfortable. You don't notice whatsoever. It's like having a pair of socks on. Okay, a geometry that allows you to tick on and move forward, and you just flow in this shoe. A nice little rocker, again allowing you to rock forward and flow, and a softish foam, but not too soft, so that you know you get some stability there with the plate. And like I said, the outsole and this suction area, this big gap that acts as the suction area. So all in all, absolute winner. And you know, you think whoever designed it definitely should be up for one of these awards. Maybe they are. Maybe in Japan they are. But for me, definitely a candidate for Shoe of the Year. Nova Blast 5 is going to have some say in that. It's a late entry, but an absolute banger of an entry, as some of the reviewers would say. Mac X2 for me is going to have a major say as well, because boy is that shoe a hell of a shoe. If you can get over the heel lock, heel rub issues, it's an absolute winner. Like I said before, I could run a marathon in that shoe. Honestly, you know, I wouldn't just use that as tempo runs. I could do everything in that shoe. So that's going to be up there. There are a few others. I mean, the Balos, again, won't be far away. Such a great shoe. And perhaps the shoe leading the pack for me, and for a lot of you guys who listen, is the Cielo X1, which has completely won me over to Hoka. And that's what started me buying Hoka shoes, because of that foam. And it's the most versatile, durable racing shoe on the market. It is a racing shoe. Don't listen to what other people say. It's too heavy, it's too big and clunky. I've got some of my fastest 5k, 10k times in that shoe, and that's not by accident. It's a really good shoe, and particularly for those who are mid-foot to forefoot strikers who like an aggressive rocker. It's an amazing shoe. So I've just listed 4 or 5 shoes there. They're right up there. There are many more. This year's absolutely been a humdinger of a year. I mean, the Alpha 5 Fleet 3 even started it all off, and that's I came to the party late in that shoe, but that's an incredible shoe. Yeah, one of the best. I almost broke my PB in that shoe, 10k PB in that shoe, so that's a really good shoe. You've got the Edge Paris, the Sky Paris, I mean the Meta Speeds, incredible shoes. They took those shoes onto another level. So, you know, I could go on and on, but oh dear, but there's not much point. You know, we'll say that for when we do the shoe awards later in the year. Well, later in the year, there's not much year left, Ed. Later in this month, that should be quite a nice episode where we go through all the shoes. I've got a lot of them this year, and we'll rank them and see which gets shoe of the year. So yeah, go back to the Neo Vista. Highly recommend these. They come in a really nice black colourway now, which is makes it look a lot nicer than it did before, than it does now. With this blue colourway, I was never a big fan. That's one of the things I thought let it down a bit, the look. They're pretty much the only thing, apart from maybe a better outsole grip. Great to run in. You know, if I wanted ever to do a slow marathon, I could do it in the shoe. You know, just get to the end. It wasn't, I mean, one of the downsides of having the big gap under your foot is it pretty much puts trail runs off limits with this shoe, because you're going to get rocks and stones and God knows what caught in there, loads of mud. But apart from that, it's a real winner, and I can't praise it enough. That's enough for me now.